Hey guys, it's Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching, and I'm doing the market preview, the brief preview for Qqq and which is the Nasdaq 100, and the futures, which is the NQ contract. So let's start off with the Qqq for tonight and look at what the critical areas are. So first of all, if you look, yesterday I said one of the key areas, right, before you could get overly bearish was, do we have the ability? And I just want to show this really quick. Do we have the ability to get underneath prior day's low? If we can't get underneath the prior day's low, there is no downside. And everyone can see this really clearly. Look how they fought to hold it above in this area to the upside. The other thing that I mentioned that was really, really important is I said that if you go through the video, was that this area right here, that it would not shock me see both responsive buyers here and also responsive buyers here. Now, here's the interesting thing. This is the open gap, right? And you can see right in here, see how they try to respond? And these are 5 minutes bars. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Took 40 minutes to get through this open gap. They really try to hold. And then when you see people talking about not being able to hold, and you see backside tests before getting further pushed to the downside, and then you can see what generally turned into a support resistance area. But this 109.50, 109.30 area became very, very key to the upside. So wanted to show that also, if you'll see, this is a gap down, and we were unable to close the gap here from yesterday's close. So this morning we had a couple things. We had a gap down, inability to close the gap, which showed that sellers were in control. We came to the open gap that was sitting below down here at, let's see, well, what price is that? 110.30. And you can see they tried to hold above that 110.30. And then this is another important concept. When you see a large area that's on auction like this, right, the market tends to like to re-auction it, which is why after we got the initial rejection here, you got an immediate push back down. So this is supposed to be quick. That's as much as I want to go into. If you want to get details, you're welcome to join us in the room. We go through a detailed analysis every day. So let's jump in and look forward to tomorrow to what the critical areas are. And I'm going to cover that very quickly. So first of all, above, we now have an open gap sitting right here at roughly 111.50. Very important area, right? This is the swing low from last week. Very critical area down here at 109.40. Obviously, that's slightly below yesterday's low. You want to make sure tomorrow not to get overly aggressive to the short side unless we can trade both below yesterday's low and below last week's low, and we hold below. The pattern could look very similar to what it looked like here, right? Up above, what you'll see is we had structure up here. This is actually the top of what's called an open window. This is the gap, open gap. This is the top of the open window. So that 111.40 to 111.50 becomes a key critical resistance area to the upside. And then on the downside, obviously we had below. And then let's go see, and let's go ahead and change this chart to a 15-minute chart. Let's see what other areas are critical here, right? So you can see when we squeeze this in that this has been a key support area in multiple ways, right? You can see over here, if we look back, going all the way back to July, that this area is where we closed and we gapped away, and that began a rally. And you can see this gap became a really important area, and it also became a trap area, right? You can see that all through here. So we can look and we can come up with a pretty easy summation to saying that an important support resistance point in terms of a closing basis, you can see that all these closes, once we broke out, occurred above 110. So the first thing that we can surmise going into tomorrow is that a close below 110, right, would be somewhat bearish, and then even more so, if we got below 109.50, 109.40, it could really open the door to a downside move. But you don't want to make the mistake. If we look at this, let me bring this in. All we've done to this point, remember, all we've done is we've traveled to the bottom of the range, and we're retesting where the initial breakout to the upside occurred. Nothing bad has happened here. And then the other key thing to remember is, even if we are to break below There we go. Even if we are to break below this low and last week's low, remember the market could come down, trade down, and if it closes back in, that would set up a trap that would push us to the upside. So you're looking for two things. First, you're looking for it to hold, but even if it doesn't hold, if it trades back up and closes back in, that would set up a trap and would set us up to come back and re-auction all this, what's considered a poorly auctioned area. We would be open to re-auctioning all of this. Also, the other important thing to notice on this chart, and again, I'm getting a little bit long here, so I'm going to try to shorten it up. The key downtrend here, you can see this channel. Let me erase this here real quick. All right, so we can see this channel here, and it's really establishing a pretty predominant downtrend line, and there's a channel that goes in accordance with that. We pull it up. Let's drag that over, and you can see the bottom of this channel is coming through at approximately right, I want to say it's about right here. Okay, this is the top bottom of the channel right now. You can see we got responsive buyers here, and this is starting to act as the top of the channel, and the midpoint, right, is sitting approximately right here. I would say this is the midpoint. It's going to provide obviously a potential reversal point. This is the top of that channel, and as you can see, we're firmly established at this point in a channel that is pushing to the downside. It's going to take a break all the way up here at 112 in order to get another assault at the highs. Okay. The other thing to keep in mind is where are critical areas of support below. This area right here, that 108.56, that is a key location. That is the top of an open window, and then we have an open gap here at 107, approximately 107.70 and 108.50. So, and levels below, let's look at critical areas. If we get below 109.50, 108.50 becomes critical, followed by 107.70, right? The next question is, what's realistic to get to in one day, right? Where's our biggest stretch up and our biggest stretch down? And if you remember from yesterday, recently the biggest stretches have been roughly 2.5 points about. We opened here at 112.50, we went down to 110, we closed here at roughly 110.30. We traded all the way up. Next day we gapped and went all the way up to 111.50. That's roughly 2 points, so 2 to 2.5 points. Where does that put us if we have an extreme move? Well, let's call it 110. That would put us at 107.50 on the bottom side. That would be an extreme move to the downside. I don't want to be bearish anywhere near here. I would expect a responsive push back up. And on the upside, 112.60, 112.50, right, puts us on the upside. And if you look, you can see that we've had consistent support and resistance right at that 112.50 level. So to surmise, 112.50 on the upside, 107.60 on the downside, and if you look at 111.50 on the upside is really your open gap. I would expect responsive sellers there the first time in. And if we look on the downside, this open gap at 107.70 and the top of the open gap at 108.60, these are all key levels away, and they are areas where I would look above and below for pushes back to the downside or pushes back to the upside. And then remember, looking at the bigger picture, right? And let's drag that over really quick. If you'll see, you can see the channel's in a down channel, but if you look at the bigger picture, we are still just at the bottom of this channel. It requires a break to the bottom. The one thing I would be concerned about tomorrow morning is if we were to gap down and not immediately get back above 109.50, that really opens the door up for a 107.60. If it's a horrific day, really worse, but I would expect responsive buyers in this 107.60, 107.70 trade location for a push back up. My name is Simon. I'm a trader with Perform Coaching. I have vowed to keep these at under 9 minutes, so I will do NQ on a different video. Have a good night, guys.